chatting.
How we first met is always a good thing to start with, isn't it? And what we both do.
Yeah. Do you want to share the story of how we met, Cyril?
Okay, so I'm very interested. So my business is helping women to be the best versions of themselves from inside out. And my background comes from having always worked in fashion and being a celebrity stylist and listening to people who always said they had nothing to wear, but it was never anything about nothing to wear. It was actually about how they felt about themselves. So my clients ended up being a much more psychological insight into how they felt about themselves. And I've always then been interested in a whole holistic side of how you can improve yourself. So at the beginning of this year, I went to a retreat which had sound baths and breath work and things, none of which I'd ever done before. And I realized that you really, really need to trust the people you're with who are hosting breathworks and visualizations and anything where you're vulnerable. And then I saw Emily, who I didn't see Emily, but I saw on Instagram that Emily was doing different workshops and sound baths. And I'd been to a few already, but I went to her and I loved what she did. And I realized that she approaches her clients in a much more holistic, spiritual way. And I'm much more on a, let's call it, a perspective of what I've done in my own life for the last 40 years, because I'm 100 years older than Emily.
It was, and whenever you come to my events, Cyril, you're always so beautifully dressed.
Thank you.
And
so
you really do, and I think energy-wise as well, because obviously, you know, that's what I'm in the biz of, working with people's energies. You shine. So it was I think it was a nice connection that we had, which has obviously led us to this evening.
So how do you work with your clients, and how do we differ in how we both work? Because it seems to be the way we approach our clients is from what we've learned in our own lives and traumas that we've dealt with, or events that have led us to helping others from our own, not only our own experiences, but also obviously learning about how we do our coaching.
Yeah, so I work with clients in sort of two ways, but they almost cross over. I have a sort of a healing part of my business, which is energy healing and sound healing, and the bit that you've almost engaged with my sound baths. And I have another part of my business which is more spiritual coaching. And I think it's good to understand, I guess, what led me to that in my life. And I was a nurse for 15 years and I experienced burnout like many others in the NHS. Had a really senior job, and highly skeptical me. It was all of these, it led me to, I was led down the path of Reiki and healing. And I had such a big transformation. It was almost opening Pandora's box. And it led from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and I really did start to heal. So my work is very much linked to the things that have helped myself, and I don't know if that's something that you can relate to, Cyril. I know things that have helped me. These things, first of all, were for me. Energy healing completely transformed my life, and so did sound healing, and so did coaching. So these are now the offerings years down the line that I like to offer to others and help people with their transformations and their healing journeys.
So I'm not sure my journeys with my clients would be called healing, but they're all about people. I always hear what clients don't tell me. So they say things, I might ask them questions, and we have to be open with each other, and they have to trust me. So the more they trust me, the more they'll tell me, but I hear what they don't tell me. So I go, how did you know that? So I'm working with intuition as well, from hearing what they don't tell me. So I have all sorts of clients from women. So predominantly my clients are people of all ages who are coming to life-changing moments. So it could be, as I know you've lost a lot of weight, and you've shown me pictures before and after, which is incredible. You look fantastic now. You look lovely then, but you know, sometimes we all feel better in not necessarily how others perceive us. And in fact, every client I've ever had, I might ask the question to, how do you think others see you, and how do you see yourself, and how would you like others to see you? And the three never match, because we always, particularly as women, believe that others see us as less than we are. We are quite hard on ourselves. So I help women to be the best versions of themselves with body image, self-confidence, helping for first impressions, with self-worth, because if you don't love yourself, that's such a cliche thing to say, but if you don't love yourself, others aren't going to love you either. So you have to like yourself and understand yourself to be able to be successful in your life in all ways, both in your personal love life and your career, because you have to believe in yourself to be able to put yourself out there.
I really agree with that. And I think there's something about healing and then really connecting with your true essence of who you are. And it's from this place that you can then propel yourself forward. I'm interested when you said, you know, these transformations that you go on with these ladies, these women. I'm wondering, how long does it take? Like, how long does that process take?
So it depends how they came to me in the beginning. So, for example, one client came to me. She actually asked me to go through her wardrobe, and it transpired that she was a drama teacher, and everything in her wardrobe was beige, and she had one red top or one red dress. And I said, why is everything beige, neutral? She said, because my mother told me that I was unattractive, that no one would ever love, not no one ever love her, but she shouldn't put herself out there. So she was wearing beige to disappear into the background. So, and the moment she put on some colour, she became a different person. Her personality shone, and she didn't realize that. She just wanted to disappear, which is strange when you're a drama teacher to want to disappear. So it could be any people, from people who've literally lost their jobs to finding a new life in a different workplace, maybe people who have gone through a divorce, or just had a baby and felt they've lost themselves, or maybe they've got to a pivotal life moment in age, whether it's menopause or getting older, empty nest syndrome. All those things will give you, make you want to look into your life, look inwards and change your life in some way. And sometimes you can't change your life yourself. You need to be able to speak to someone to help yourself feel better, or look outside the box.
And Sarah, like, has there been moments in your life where you can say, you know, obviously we said a topic of like difficult things that have happened can be catalysts for great change, and you've listed some almost like times when your clients are going through something, and it's like a time to just reevaluate, isn't it? And how they put themselves out into the world. And have you ever personally gone through anything?
So many, so many, from everything you could possibly think of, from divorce to obviously both parents dead, so that's bereavement, then different traumas which happened to my children at different times in their life, from very small to recent. So we're talking, my kids are both adults in their 30s. And then also empty nest, menopause, been through the whole lot, plus a medical trauma as well, which interestingly, having done a lot of therapy myself, I realized that sometimes the trauma that is an ongoing one, that's to do with oneself, is the one that hangs around, because when something's past, you can get over it. But if it's still current in your life, it's harder to get over something. So I'm very into positivity, and I know as you as well, with being not necessarily doing gratitude lists, but waking up and asking yourself, what are you grateful for? Even just that it's a sunny day. It could be anything at all, but something that brings you joy every day.
And would you say, like, And you can correct me if you think this is a wrong way of saying it, but would you say that any of these like almost really difficult points, like have any of them come with any kind of gifts? Like have you got anything kind of beneficial out of the experience in terms of growth?
I think I learned from, especially when things happened to my children, especially when one of them was very young, that it's seriously important to talk everything out, otherwise you hold it in, because I didn't want my son to be hung on to any traumas that he'd gone through. So talking, which I probably would never have considered talking, because my parents were of a generation where you didn't really talk your feelings. So that is really important, which is probably why I'm such an open person. Anybody can say anything to me and nothing will ever shock me at all. I work with all sorts of clients, from young to old, and all sorts of sexualities, from trans who are transitioning from male to female. So, and helping them to understand how to be unremarkable in the world, not stand out. So I listen to all sorts of things, nothing shocks, and I'm very open-minded. So I've also learnt that nowadays we have to be quite careful how we word things, because I'm nearly 70, so obviously I grew up with a whole world where you could say anything, and you did. If someone offended you, you just let it go of your head. So I'm very aware of how one phrases, how I phrase things now. So yes, and I also think, having had so many traumas, the therapy that I've done on myself has taught me how to work with other people. And you know, when we were chatting about this first, one of the really interesting things for people is how they deal with relationships, and that often people deal with current relationships, whether they're family or personal, other partner, by how they dealt in their relationships with their parents. And we have a left and a right voice talking to us. So the left voice might be the child in you that keeps on coming back to bite you on the bottom and say, you know, this is how you act as a child, this is how you're going to act in your relationships. Or the adult you saying, no, that child in me is being ridiculous, that is not me anymore, I'm going to be this person. So I've learned a lot from different therapies I've done, and how I deal with clients and my one-to-ones, and how I deal with them.
Yeah, wow.
And from you, so when you're dealing with your clients, every time you have a client, I'm sure, do you find you've learned something from each client to put into your arsenal of help? I can't think of any other word. Your little black book, not your black book, but your box of tools to help your clients. And every client is different, so you'll learn something different from them.
Yeah, each client, it's always a gift, isn't it? And I always feel, I always, because of the work that I do is very spirit-led, and I really truly believe that the clients that find their way to me, they're meant to work with me. So, you know, every client's a gift. And it is amazing the wisdom that you get from people. And I think also, like, a lot of my work is healing, and it's people are in a very vulnerable state, especially my one-to-one work, and they're trusting you, and with that there comes a lot of responsibility, and it is amazing the insights that people share with you. But I think for me, a lot of it is now, it's more like a feeling. So when I see my clients, it's hard for me to explain it in words. It's like a feeling of just like I'm doing the right thing, I'm doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing, and that's what I use to guide me with everything that I do, which is a very different way to working when I was a nurse, definitely.
Yes, because then you're working on you have to have the facts to be able to treat someone, to give them the right medicines and things, obviously.
Yeah, it's a different approach. Like before, I was working in a private hospital, and I was their lead for safeguarding. So it was very high pressured, and it was it was very demanding and it was very important, but in a different sense. This way of working that I work now is a lot more in alignment. And I think your point, you know, when you help people to connect with themselves, and the work that you do when someone comes to you, and it's actually reconnecting with like who they are. And actually my process was, when I reconnected with who I was on a deeper level, it allowed me to do the work that I was supposed to do. And I hope that makes sense. But
it does.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because we both help people, but on such a different level, because my help, because I was styling celebrities for 30 years and I was working in fashion, and I also was working with brands on personal branding and public branding. So if you've got a celebrity, let's say they're in the music biz and they're putting out a new album or song, and they need to have a different image, that's public brand. It's not about what they're wearing. It's about what they want to say about what they wear. So, and what it says about them and who their audience are, in the same way as if you're doing a branding for a brand, you're also asking what, I don't know, hypothetically cornflakes or whatever is what they want to put out about their image. You know, is it healthy? Is it this? Is it that? So when I listen to clients, I'm coming from a completely different angle from you. I'm listening to what they want others to believe, to see of them, and what they want to put out. A bit like if they were going for a job interview or meeting someone for a date. And a lot of people I meet maybe they want to start dating again, and they have actually no idea how to approach it and how to not just dress, but how to interact with people and the messages they're going to, what messages are they receiving, the right messages from the people? Are they understanding what the message is coming out? Or are they giving off the right messages, whether they're men or women, it doesn't matter. But so it's all about their own insecurities, and are they reading people? Are they reading the room? Are they reading the person? So it's about your personal and your public brand as well.
Wow. It's really interesting. And do you think that there's almost like, if someone wants to put a certain aspect of themselves out, is it a way of putting that out before they quite believe it themselves?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I worked a lot when there used to be I'm not a political person in any shape or form. However, I was asked to style some of the politicians, not recently, but a while ago. And so being a politician now, apart from what in my view, everything they say is I don't believe of any wherever they come from. However, when they're doing those political debates, because it's an image that they're putting across, I was asked to dress quite a lot of them. So they put across the image that they wanted people to believe. So back to your question, which comes first? I think probably what people want others to believe of them if they're in the public eye. If it's someone private and it's your private life, then obviously it's a different thing. It's what you hope. I think it's putting your vulnerable, authentic self. I'm going to use the word authentic. It's about putting your authentic self out there, isn't it? When you're a private person. But the public branding of people is not necessarily the authentic person, as we can often see from a lot of celebrities and people in the public eye. And
do you think that when you almost you dress someone to keep up with this brand that they're expected to portray, do you think that then influences their personality?
I think their public personality, yes, because having worked with all sorts of celebrities, from royals to really A-list people, the person that people believe them to be are rarely the person they are. So, because they obviously have to put a public face on. And often, many of the celebrities are really shy. I mean, really shy. So they become they become their alter ego to be that person.
Yeah, that was the term I was looking for. It's alter ego, isn't it?
It is the alter ego. But
yeah.
maybe do you think we all have alter egos in some way when you're one person to your husband, you're another person to your client, you're another person to your child, you're a person to your parents. We all have different personas according to who we're relating to at that time. Oh, and do you also think if you're with whichever part, this is going to sound wrong how I'm going to put it, the person you're with, the relationship you're in at that time may change how you act. Each person that you're in a relationship may change how you are because you'll react differently.
Yeah. So I guess your first question about the alter egos, do you know what just came to my mind is I remember having this spiritual teacher, and I think I've seen it someone else posted it, I think recently, that when you obviously have all these different aspects of your personality, and like you said, the mother and the friend, and there's all these different bits, and there's also, I think there's our shadow bits of our personality that we almost try to like push away, these bits that we are almost ashamed of. And I think there's a big part of actually healing. It's not so much an alter ego, it's like accepting that this is all the aspects of me and I love all of it. That's what came to my mind. But then your second question was, do you think that you change with each relationship, Cyril? Is that what you were saying in terms
Yes, I think so. You might be one person with an old boy, you might have been one person with an old boyfriend, and then the person you married now, you might be because each person reacts and enacts differently with we all act differently with different people. The same person can be different with each person they're with.
And I think different people bring out the strengths and weaknesses of a person, don't they? Like,
that's what I'm trying to say. Considering I write books, my English is not great then, is it? I'm trying to get my point across.
It's such a good point, isn't it? And I think it's the same with friendships, it's with anything. You can surround yourself with people and they really do just bring the best out in you. And I think I always, and like you hope to be a person that brings the best out in others. I always think that's like, if you're being a nice human being and you're seeing the best in other people. But I definitely believe that there will be relationships and I can reflect on them. I think there's two aspects. That I was probably different because I think when you go on this life and healing journey, you evolve and you are a completely different person, to what you are 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So it's going to be different, isn't it, how you're reacting? But
100%. And the fact that I'm coming up to 70, which is not filling me with trauma because I'm lucky to be alive, but there's such a big number. It makes you think about everything about your life and what you want next, who you want to be with, and what you actually want. Where do you want to go? And this is what I do for people. But when you start to do it for yourself, it's a different question, isn't it?
Well, okay. I'm interested, Cyril. Like, if you could do, like, what's in the future for you? If you could create your dream future from this moment out going forward, what would it look like?
Do you know something? This is what I was trying to do in the manifestation yesterday. And when you said in the meditation, and I'm having such a struggle because I actually don't, it's very funny. I'm really good at helping other people. I can help them with their diets. I can say, do as I say, do as I do. So how do I think definitely having not really traveled for quite a few years anywhere exciting, I think I want to have an adventure.
Okay.
So an adventure would be nice. I like to have a challenge. I like a reason. I have to have a reason to get up in the day. I don't mean just to get up and live, but I have to have something that challenges me. So a project. So it could be my second book that I've written, the publisher's saying, yes, go for it. Or it could be writing about an adventure that I go on, or something that excites me, that actually, obviously paid is always a good thing, but something that takes me out. I quite like being out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it? Because I feel that when you're comfortable being in the uncomfortable, like it's my birthday tomorrow, and I'm going to
Oh
be
yes, happy
37.
birthday for tomorrow.
Yes, I'm going to be 37, and and I think you become quite reflective around birthdays or
You
just
do.
before birthdays.
So you'll become even more reflective when you get to 40,
Yeah, yeah,
and 70,
exactly.
and
Like, because
70 is really pivotal
yeah,
because you're so far into your life and you question what you've done. Others may perceive you as being super successful and having been successful, but we as women, most women who've been successful and working some days, we all feel we are, we're what's the word when we believe we're fraudulent in what we've, imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome.
We all have imposter
Yeah.
syndrome, however successful we are. And people go, but you've done this and this and this, and I'm sure they say the same to you. And you go,
It's interesting because I really try, like something that because we always look externally for validation, don't we?
yeah.
Like we're always looking for someone, to have some kind of accolade or something to kind of value our existence.
But we shouldn't. We should actually
exactly.
be ourselves to pat ourselves on the back. It
And
shouldn't be
that's
someone
it.
else.
And I think like now, definitely, there's different moments in my life. Like now, I just give myself, I reflect on what I've achieved in the last year.
Yes, it should be what each of us or each person watching has achieved. And however, if you're with a partner, it should be your partner that also, we shouldn't want them to say that we've been successful, but it's lovely if they have our backs and support you and are your cheerleader in what you do.
Well, 100%. And I'm very grateful because, as you know, as you come to my sound baths, I've got a very supportive husband who checks everyone in, and he packs up my kit, and he is the logistics of everything, and he's my cheerleader. And I think it really does help when you're pushing yourself in the uncomfortable and you've got people around you that are cheering you on, and almost and saying keep going for it, because I think there's moments when you really question everything, and you're like, do I keep going with this? Or I remember when I decided to give up nursing, everyone around me except for my husband was telling me that I was absolutely nuts when I said, spiritually I was on this path and I had to follow what my soul was telling me to do. People thought I was bonkers. So, it does help when you, and I think people are, oh, it's nice. It's obviously great to be single too, but equally there is something really wonderful about being in a partnership with someone that really does cheer you on.
Oh, 100%. And then see on the other side is if you're with a partner that does not cheer you on and then becomes jealous or doesn't like your success, because a lot of men do not like a woman more successful than them. So then that can be a problem as well. And so, it can often be a hard one.
Definitely is. But I feel
for women.
It's hard for women, because we are expected to be the mother, be the worker, keep our homes, look immaculate, stay looking young. It's rough, I think, as a woman in this world. And that's why I do think it's almost wonderful when you can surround yourself with women that uplift you. And that's
which is probably why most of my friends are younger than me. I have much more joy in the vibrancy of women who are younger and still haven't given up. I know a lot of women who are in their 60s who feel they feel they're invisible, they've given up.
Yeah.
They've just sort of think that's it. It isn't it. And I think that's the point of what I do, both on my social media and my clients, of saying that actually it's never too late to reinvent yourself. Who would know that I was actually creating content on social media at the age of nearly 70? I mean, that was never in my remit.
I just think it's wonderful. And I think I go to something that I've done for years now is go to women's circles, and I love those environments because you really honor women who are older than you as well, because we can all give something to one another. There's wisdom there. There's wisdom from each other and support and encouragement. And I think I really, really appreciate what you do, Cyril, because I think it's just so needed. It's so needed.
Thank you. And I like what you do because it's a more spiritual side, which I think if you embrace the whole holistic spiritual side of life, I think it actually opens your mind. And I've tried all sorts of things. I learned the basics of Reiki, so I got to level 1. So it's interesting to learn how you can bring energy into your life and other people. It makes you understand others more, especially if you have that sort of certain level of intuition anyway.
I could, talk about Reiki all day. I teach Reiki, and Reiki, like you said, just having this like in your toolbox to be able to channel that energy in any situation. And even when you are in an environment with a group which might not be as supportive and encouraging, you can still be that good intention and bring that energy into that space. So I think Reiki's great at helping you feel less helpless to life.
Yeah, and which goes back to you talking about energy. So my hints and tips for anybody who's ever going to go to any sound baths or breathwork sessions. And when I'm saying breathwork, I'm not talking about just learning how to breathe, the sort of holding in for 5, breathing in for 5, holding for 5 and breathing out. Not that sort of breathwork, but breathwork where they're making you look into yourself and go on some sort of I'm going to call it's not even a journey. It's more like a sort of, I'm going to have to practically use the word trip, but that's not the right word because it's not with drugs. But if you breathe enough, you will go into some sort of, what's the thing where
I think it is a journey. It's definitely a journey.
But I was talking more of a really weird journey, which is why you have to really, really trust people. Pardon?
A bit more of an
altered state. Yes, because if you're holding your breath and breathing that much, you're going to hyperventilate to a level which is going to put you into an altered state. So it's actually quite dangerous, which is why I'm keep on reiterating how much I love you doing to your sound baths, because I trust you and the energy is always incredibly positive in the room.
Aww.
And I think I've been in rooms in different places where the energy from some of the people there was actually quite scarily bad. And if you're someone who picks up others' energies, you don't actually know what you're going to come out with. You want to come out feeling positive. You don't want to come out feeling like frightened or weird or...
I agree. I think there's something about actually, when you're a practitioner, is taking, because I know I've been in this space for a while now, and a lot of us end up doing these things because it's part of our own healing journey. But I think it's important to let it be just part of your healing journey until you're at a place in your life where you can hold space for others. And I think unfortunately there is people out there who need to just invest a little bit more time and energy on themselves.
It's about the professionalism and understanding how their actions can affect others.
Yes. 100%. It's I love, you obviously come to my big sound bath once a month, and
yeah,
I really do love that event. The energy is amazing actually, because I feel very grateful that every single person that comes, I just find that it almost attracts these amazing souls and these amazing people that want to come and join us. So I feel very grateful on that part.
It's really important, which is probably we need to wind up in a second because we were only doing half an hour. But I think it's really important, whatever anyone does, whether they work, whether they don't work, whether they've got a family or not, whether they're living on their own, just to find time for yourself every single day where you have a moment to just stop. Not even necessarily meditate, but just stop and be in your own thoughts. And it's not about reading a book, listening to music, it's literally just stopping.
Yeah, and just one thing to today, actually, I had a very busy day because I wasn't able to even message you very much today with my son. And I realised I've got an 18-month-old toddler, and it's quite intense. You know,
relentless.
It's relentless. And I was like thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so overstimulated right now. And I've got all these things in my toolbox. Obviously, I'm a practitioner, so I could do all these things. But the reality is, I'm with my son, that I can't be, sitting down and doing 10 minutes of Reiki on myself. I've just got to get on with it. And to your point, actually, we were outside, we were in the park, and I just took some deep breaths, and I looked around, and I just brought myself into this present moment. And there's something about how healing that is, and how that I just felt my nervous system just calm down and relax.
Yeah,
and sometimes
it's being in that moment and appreciating the moment. And if you're outside looking at the sky and the trees and the green, and even just literally just going for a quick walk or something, just appreciating that moment and just breathing. It is that, exactly that.
I agree. And I think that's like such a lovely place to end, Cyril.
Well, I would love to have seen you while we were doing this, because all I'm looking at is a black screen above myself.
Hopefully, as long as I save everything correctly, because this is my first time hosting a live, you'll see how wonderful you look after, how it looks afterwards.
Did you have any questions from anyone who wanted to?
No,
I didn't.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
We've kind of covered them throughout,
Cool.
So it's worked out really nicely. So thank you.
Well, thank you all for listening, watching.
Thank you everyone who's joined, and for anyone that's going to catch the replay, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself and Cyril. What's your Instagram handle, Cyril?
At Cyril, Ceril Campbell. And it will actually the saved live will be on both our.
Be on both, won't it?
Yes, it'll be on both our feeds.
And if anyone has, we'll probably do another live in the future. So if anyone has any questions or anything,
or a topic,
or any feedback that they would like to share, or anything they'd like us to discuss next time, then just reach out. Our DMs are always open, aren't they, Cyril?
Yeah, they are. I think one of my next ones might have to be on people's dating problems.
Do you know what, Cyril? Actually, like dating, I would really love to go into that topic, because at the, I did my workshop yesterday.
Yes.
And one of my lovely clients who I know very well brought up dating. And it's such a good topic, isn't it? And actually, I'd love to go into that more.
So if anyone is watching and wants to send me their dating horror stories, please do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah.
DM me.
and me. That'll keep me going when I'm having an overstimulated toddler day. But,
no, thank you.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.